Life's best moments are best captured by photography and video. You may ask, why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. And GPS photography and video will leave you speechless. GPS specializes in weddings, sports, fitness, and so much more. Book your next shoot today at 910-257-0526 or gpsphotoandvideo.com.
I'm Glenn Young, owner of Amazon's fitness magazine, Celebrate the Female Physique, amazonsfitmag.com, and welcome to the second hour of the Amazon's podcast. The podcast is brought to you by title sponsor, Maximus Posing Suits. Celebrate your inner warrior. Custom competition suits for victory on every stage. MaximusPosingSuits.com. And of course, GPS photography and video. Why photography and video? Because if a photo's worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. GPSPhotoandvideo.com. In the second hour, my guest really needs no introduction, but she's going to get one anyway. 2017, 2019 Rising Phoenix champion. She's been away for a while, coming off an injury in 2022. She is a perennial Olympian and Amazon's fitness magazine sponsored athlete. Ladies and gentlemen, Helle Trevino.
Hi, Glenn, and
how are you?
Hi to the viewers out there as well. I'm great.
Well, this was a challenge. We were able to get you on. I mean, you've been hopping all over the country. You know, first in Colombia, now you're actually in Brazil. So we had to match the times up. Love the promo earlier on the beach.
You're welcome.
On the beach. Hang on a second. My phone is acting crazy here. All right, I'm back now.
Echo.
Make sure I didn't have the echo. But I mean, love the promo on the beach. Talk to me about what you've been doing, going from Colombia to Brazil. What's going on?
Well, I went to Colombia for stem cells. And I know a lot of people have a lot of interest. I've gotten so many DMs. I put up some videos, and it's cutting edge technology. I have stem cells in like almost all the joints in my body, plus IV twice going through the whole body. I mean, I've been training for a lot of years, and I think it's really important in terms of like longevity and healthy joints, healthy body, all of that you need to do some maintenance, because things are going to catch up on you at some point. And, I've had some issues with my knees, with my shoulders. I had the shoulder injury and surgery in 22. Everything is great now. And the stem cells has really helped improve my body a lot. So what stem cells do is they repair, they can repair cartilage, and they can even repair discs. Like I have some disc compression as well in my lower back. So, and which is one of the only things in the world that can actually go in and repair soft tissue. And it has really, I mean, it's now a few months ago, I guess it was like mid-January. So how it's working is it's actually working over a year. So I will continue to see improvements through this year. And it was very strategically that I did this early in the year. I talked to the doctors at the clinic, how to time everything. And so the stem cells are going to help me through my prep, just keeping my joints healthy, keeping everything working. And I'm just looking forward to a really successful prep.
So how long ago did you have this done?
It was mid-January. So it's
mid-January.
A couple of months. Yeah.
So Rising Phoenix is in August. What have you been feeling like now? And what joints did you target specifically? Did you mess with the shoulder, your
Yeah,
elbow?
both shoulders, both knees, my spine, my neck, my lumbar, uh, plus like full IV, like IV drips twice, the stem cells going through, and they really like, it's really like, how can I say, they kind of detect those stem cells, what's needing repair, and it
Hmm.
starts the body's own mechanism up and say, kind of pokes other cells to say, hey, we need to go over here, all the cells to repair this thing. So I mean, I've had still a bit of shoulder issues since my surgery.
Hmm.
Those are gone now. My knee hasn't been better. I have a left knee that's really been bothering me. I couldn't squat just just 3 4 months ago. I can squat, I can put on weight. My back feels better, and I know it's going to continue improving throughout the year. So I mean, I went to a company called Bioaccelerator in Medellin in Colombia, and
Okay.
they actually worked on Flex Lewis, Dexter Jackson, Dennis James. A lot of the bodybuilding athletes have been going to this clinic for repairs.
Hmm.
So instead of like saying I would have to get a new knee in a few years, I'd rather go and get stem cells, and the stem cells will repair the soft tissue that's broken. So I'm a big believer in these stem cells.
Okay, so you had this done in January. It's now April 10th. How do you feel specifically?
I feel ready. We're starting prep in not all too long, maybe end of May or something like that. But
Okay.
I'm training heavy right now. I'm putting on size. That's right now is growing season for me. So I feel amazing. I mean, my lifts keep going up. I keep getting stronger. Putting on size like pretty rapidly. Of course, I had a little bit of downtime after the stem cells,
Hmm.
but everything is coming back plus some. So I'm
Okay.
excited to see how the body is going to look this year in the fallen stage. It's a process, and I'm enjoying every step of the process. What's most important for me is that I can, I've always had a great passion for this sport. I always really, really love this sport. But when you go to the gym and then this hurts and that hurts, oh, I can't do this exercise. It starts getting really tedious, really hard because you always having to compromise. You're always having to find a different way to train. And now, I'm back to all the exercises. I can go to the gym and I can train pain free.
Hmm.
And not just that, but I can push. And
Hmm.
that's a huge freedom for me. And also gives me the belief that, I can really go in and push something this year because my body hasn't felt this good in years.
Talk to me about what did they inject you specifically? I know you said the joints. So how many transfusions? How many um, shots? Did you take, and how much was the time in between the shots of the stem cells?
Well, I was there for a week. So
Hmm.
actually, uh, they finished everything in 5 days, but it was like a
Okay.
super tight schedule. It was often from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 7 p.m. But it was like they were looking at the whole body. So what I thought
Hmm.
was so amazing was like, it wasn't just injections. I mean, I had one injection in each of my shoulders.
Hmm.
I'm not sure how many I had in my knees or my back because I was in anesthesia. So
Right.
some
Right.
of the procedures were under anesthesia. Knees wasn't. I was just locally, uh, in local anesthesia. I was awake, but I didn't feel the knees. But I didn't
Hmm.
look down and see how many they did. But with my spine, I had a specific spinal specialist do these injections under
Mm-hmm.
full anesthesia.
Yeah.
And then the IV drips, I mean, you're fully awake. You could just get the drip and you sit in there, the chair, and you sit there for maybe like half an hour. Then they gave me some vitamin drips as well. Sat another half hour. Then I
Mm-hmm.
got the hypobaric chamber. I got oxygen therapy. I got also physiotherapy because they
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure also like if I have issues that the mobility is there. You know, if I say move in a wrong pattern, then the stem cells can fix something, but it's going to go back to where it was because I'm going to keep that wrong wear and tear. So it was like everything. It was even like also I went to a um, like a dietitian, like a
Mm-hmm.
holistic nutrition expert that tested my hairs. And
Mm-hmm.
so the test came out like which vitamins, minerals, amino acids, whatever I needed more of or wherever I lacked. They were really like all the way around. I mean, had several physiotherapy sessions. I got a program with me back home. They followed up after a month. I got a new program. So actually, I'm still in touch with BioAccelerator
Mm-hmm.
with just follow ups, new programs for mobility and everything. So, I mean, I think it's really amazing how much they did and how much they were on me in 5 days.
Now, specific injury that you had in 2022 was what?
Well, I tore my bicep tendon. It was basically sitting down here. So the
Mm,
full tendon was off, and I tore my supraspinatus on the side. So that one was off as well. So I had reattachment surgery,
mm-hmm.
and I still managed to compete the same year, which I'm pretty proud of because it was
Yeah.
really tough.
Yeah, you did.
I only had 6 months to basically get my mobility back, get my size back, and get shredded. And I
Mm-hmm.
was still third. So, you know, I'm hoping with this year going smooth and my body is running, no injuries, that I can go in and crash some things.
So you had stem cells injected into the bicep area around the tendon where you were injured as well.
Yes.
How does
Hmm.
that feel
Well, I was under
compared to what
anesthesia.
it was? I
You
guess.
know,
No, I
yeah,
mean now compared to what
locally,
it.
yeah, locally, I was it was under anesthesia, so I didn't feel anything. But it was interesting because they had like a ultrasound monitor
Right.
that I could look at and I could see them put the injections. I could follow it on the monitor. I'll
Yeah.
be like, damn, okay.
And you're feeling the difference now already, and you're back to lifting and training. So
Already
that's
I'm
great.
feeling it. Yeah, already. I mean, I can only recommend anyone who has injuries, especially like soft tissue injuries,
Mm-hmm.
to. I mean, it's of course it's not cheap, but I think
Right.
it's worth it if you can say avoid getting a new knee or a new shoulder or whatever it is. You
Oh,
know.
definitely with that.
Yeah.
I can,
Hmm.
you know, all the perfect. Yeah. Because I definitely need to look into it myself, even though it's
I mean,
costly. But
they wanted MRIs of
right.
everything before you start. They have a
Mhm.
staff of doctors that will look at your MRIs. I got a
Right.
complete diagnosis, even of things I knew that I had pains, but I didn't know what it was. I got
Hmm.
diagnosis on everything, and you know they had a doctor for everything. So it was like
Right.
one doctor that would do my shoulders and knees, and then it was
Hmm.
a specific like spinal doctors that would do that part, and then there would be other doctors that would be doing the IV. So it was really like a team of specialists.
That's really great. I'm glad you on the mend and you feel great and you're ready to go. Um,
I'm ready to
that was
go.
in. Go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
I'm
what were
I'm
you
ready.
saying?
I'm ready to go. Like I'm already going. I mean, I
Yeah.
have a new coach, and we're working together really, really well. I mean, I'm since I was off training, I'm up like I think 20 pounds. So
Mm-hmm.
we're putting on putting on some size.
That's great. And one important note to make: you came all the way back in 2022 and still got third. So that's amazing. When the other people would have just said, it's let's just wait. But the thing about that, that you automatically qualified for the Olympia in 2023, but you couldn't do it. And so then everybody, there was speculation, rumor mill, conjecture, call it what you want, that you would have to recompete to requalify uh, for the Olympia. And what I was actually thinking as well when we met up at the Olympia this past November. But then in an official statement from Jake Woods Media, it basically states, in the absence of the Miss Olympia, the Rising Phoenix, winners earned a lifetime qualification, just as if they'd won the Miss Olympia itself. That was huge. Great clarification. Got clarified quickly, and we're moving on. So that's excellent. We'll
I
be
was
looking at.
really, really happy about that. I mean, I
I
think
was
it's
too.
I think it's fair because when I was winning the Rising Phoenix, that was no Olympia. That
Right,
was the Olympia. It just had a
right,
different name, but that was the biggest show in the world for female bodybuilders. And the winner of any Olympia will have a lifetime qualification.
right,
So I think the winner of the Rising Phoenix, where there was an absence of the Olympia, should have a lifetime qualification as well, because it's the same thing. You like those winners were the best athlete that year. So I
right.
think it's great. I'm thankful. I don't have to spend time on qualifying shows, and I can go straight to the Olympia. So that enables me of just focusing on that.
And now you focus in on a single target, single focus. When you look at it now, being out since 2022, 2 years, people say it's a long time. What, if anything, does Helle Trevino have to prove?
Mm, I don't know if I have anything to prove. I think I've
Mm-hmm.
proved myself already. I think it's more about my own goals. One thing that is like a big thing for me is like, I won the Rising Phoenix twice.
Mm-hmm.
And the Rising Phoenix was the Olympia at the time. But now, with the Olympia being back, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it it does hurt me that I don't have that title, because now the Rising Phoenix is a qualifier for the
Yeah.
Olympia, and the Rising Phoenix, it's a great show. I always love doing the show, but just the reputation of the Olympia is just different than the Rising Phoenix, because the Olympia, I mean, they're having their 60th years anniversary this year.
Big year
It's
this year.
really
Yeah.
it's a name, it's a huge name. It's sort of like, the Super Bowl.
It
It's
is.
so when you come and say, yeah, I won the Rising Phoenix, people are like, you know, it's not like I need validation, but it's also like for myself, it's like
Mm-hmm.
it would have been nice to have the Olympia title. It would have been nice to be part of being an Olympia winner, which I feel I sort of am, because, like I said, those years there was nothing bigger to win, but I'm not,
Yeah.
So so if there's anything I have to, I will say prove, but that I feel like have to do for myself
Mm-hmm.
is win the Olympia. Like that would be, I would be content,
We're gonna come back to that in a minute.
fulfilled, and grateful.
Let's put a pin in that for right now, but we're gonna come back to it for sure. The Rising Phoenix is an all-woman show, um, women's show. Um, the Rising Phoenix as well. Yeah, I love that format. Love the way that works. What did you think of the Triple O Dynasty that just took place last Saturday?
I think it was a lot of great athletes. It was really good quality. It was an interesting battle between Julia and Teresa.
Hmm.
So I mean, I think from I wasn't there, but from everybody I talked to, they said that the show was really well promoted. They really treated the women as queens, and that's something that I really like to hear.
Hmm.
When I mean, the athletes, they put so much work into a show. I mean, I know it myself as an athlete, how much work and how much. I mean, I'm 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 already preparing for the Olympia now. You know, it
Hmm.
takes the whole year, and not just that year, but all the years you
Right.
have been training has been preparing you for these competitions. Is so much work going into it. So when I hear that they were treated with respect, they were
Hmm.
treated like queens, and they really felt like they were taken care of, that makes me happy.
Well, the takeaway too, and they have to check the history on it, is you had three female promoters that are actively still competing, and they're putting on the show. And in retrospect, it's kind of like putting a bounty on top of their head, to include Natalia Coelho as well in the women's physique, putting a bounty on top of your head because the very person that won your show could be very well you have to deal with. That's just the way it is. So I think that shows a great emphasis of, okay, I'm gonna give you an opportunity to get to the Olympia, and then when
Hmm.
you get on the stage, show me what you got. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna allow you this platform, this show, to punch your ticket to the Olympia, and then I'll see you in October, and I think that's great.
I think it's great. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be. You know, we are all in this sport. We all have this common thing, this
Hmm.
passion for the sport. And whether you're a promoter or uh, you are a business owner or however you are involved with the sport, I mean, I'm a coach as well. You know, I
Hmm.
also, you know, right now I'm coaching Gina Cavaliere and Irene Anderson. And I
Hmm.
mean, we'll be on the same stage, possibly
How
in
is
some
Gina
of the
doing?
shows. She's doing great. She's getting
Okay,
shredded.
okay. Is she's getting into the New York Pro, right?
She is getting ready for the New York Pro, yes. And
Okay,
she will do the Tampa Pro.
okay.
And we're considering the Toronto. We're talking about it. So it's we've got things in works.
Well, that's great breaking news. Appreciate that, and glad that she is doing well.
Yes, she
Let's
is.
get into some more questions. Um, then let's just go into the season as it is now is off to a great start. And the number of women's bodybuilding shows, West Coast, East Coast. I mean, you got Anaheim, you got the Rising Phoenix, and then you come in and you got New York, Chicago, Tampa, Atlanta. This thing is going to bottleneck. Each show is going to be bigger than the one before because everybody's chasing that qualification. And then, of course, here in a week or so is the Van Isle show, but that's in
Mhm.
Canada. And then, of course, you got some that are overseas. And all competitors just can't, they're going to make the show that they can make. But is it a thing of having more shows and then speak to how do you recruit women bodybuilders um, as a whole? It's not like the women's physique is like a farming, like in baseball, a farming team, but typically that's where the women's bodybuilders come from in women's physique. How do you go out there? And I asked the same question of Ava earlier to recruit women to women's bodybuilding.
Well, we still have a lot of work to do. I think we need, right now, we need more amateur shows to have women's bodybuilding, um, especially in Europe. Now I'm from Europe and I know how it goes on in Europe, and it's like really not a lot of amateur women's bodybuilding shows, and it's like the pros has to come from somewhere, you know. So
Right.
So that's one thing. Like, I hope some promoters will consider taking women's bodybuilding in, because I mean, it's a great sport, and it's I think a lot of fans, they want to see some muscles. I mean, not to take anything away from bikini or figure wellness or anything, but the raw muscle, the biggest of the biggest, is the women's
Right.
bodybuilders. And it's I think watching something extreme that blows your mind, that's something like human beings like. That's like,
Right.
wow, look at that. That's crazy. Like that much muscle, that shredded, So
Right.
I think it's an amazing sport for the spectator, and hopefully more promoters will push in the women's bodybuilding in the amateurs. That's one side of it. Then there's,
Yeah.
of course, the side of it, like, if there aren't women to compete, it's going to be hard to have that division.
Right.
So I think it lays much in the marketing, and that also lays heavy on our shoulders, as the front runners for the sport, role models, ambassadors for bodybuilding, that we, educate, that we don't see other women as competition or something like that, that we just all see each other as like we're part of an entity. We're part of a sport that we have passion and love for, and help the young women coming up, and help them see that love for bodybuilding that we have, like show them what's so great about the sport, and help them, get there. I mean, I have a business team for pro, together with Irene Anderson and Gina.
Yeah.
And we really try to help our women and inspire them, and have them have that belief in themselves, because many times I work with women that just like don't have the confidence to maybe enter a bodybuilding show, because you need to have more muscle, you need to be more shredded, and you might also sometimes have to fight against prejudice,
Right.
just I mean, women with muscle, it's getting more and more common. We have so many categories, and women are um, you know more accepted being muscular,
Right.
but we still have a way to go. We still get the nasty comments and stuff like that. Just ignorance and people's prejudice, and that's also something that you got to be strong and have to that you need to be able to handle, and we help our women with that. I've talked to many of my athletes where they'll be like, they have different issues, and they'll be like, how do I handle this? And that's also why I'm a big spokesperson for having a female coach if you're female, because I know what you're going through, like I've already lived that, I've already been through that. So I help on a psychological plane a lot as well, giving the women the confidence. And if they have the structure and the physique and the genetics, why would you stay in a category that's maybe not for you, just because you don't feel you have the confidence for bodybuilding? I will give you the confidence.
Right. But speaking to your point, when you're talking about a male coach versus a female coach, I mean, there's a lot of great male coaches out there. One in
Yes, yes,
particular
and I
out of
have a male
Mississippi,
coach too.
wonderful. Yeah. And
But
yeah.
there's the problem is there's not a lot of female coaches. When I was
Right.
picking a coach, I was like,
hmm
uh, who am I going to pick? Like, which females are out there?
hmm
It's just not a lot of female coaches to pick from.
Right. I got you.
And with my coach, we have more like a collaboration, you know.
Right.
Because I trained for a long time. I have a lot of experience. I've done many shows. I know my body, and he knows that, and he
Right.
acknowledges that, and that's why we can work well together. Because I can't have a coach that is like my way or the highway, you know.
Hmm.
Because I know my body. I'm a coach myself for many years,
And
so
that's
I
something you
just
experienced in the past. That is my way or the highway.
yes, for sure. Um, and I'm like, I know what I bring to the table. I know what my knowledge is, but I also acknowledge that there can be other people that have knowledge that I don't have. And my coach, for instance, he's also like a health practitioner, health coach.
Right.
So he knows a lot about um, like specifically supplements, how which supplements to take if you have high cholesterol, or you know, how do you protect your intestines well, what if you're bloated, and you know, what can you, which supplements would be good for you. And also food wise, there's something called like a food map, where you
Hmm.
map which foods are good for your digestion and what's not so good. And he works like, for instance, Colombia. You know, I went to this. I told you, the holistic dietitian that made a sort of also like they call it a map over my
Hmm.
body, like everything from like radiation to pollution to you know, vitamins, amino, anything, you know. And he looked at the food map and he made my diet and supplements according to what she also tested and found out. So I like to work on a little bit more, I don't know if you want to say scientific level, or but like
Hmm.
smart level, you know, not just like, oh, let's just throw some rice and chicken and see what happens, you know. It's like you know, and he listens. If I say, you know what, I mean, I have an issue with rice, it bloats me. It's just every
Hmm.
time I eat some rice, it bloats me.
Right.
And it's not like, oh, you just need to eat rice because that's what we do in bodybuilding. You know, he's like,
Mhm.
you know what? We won't have any rice in your diet. And it's good. Is there anything else you don't tolerate? Well, there's these things. I also feel like I get gas or I have bloated. He's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll find something else. And
Mhm.
he will work with me, you know. And
Right.
it's like this all the time, that he adjusts things based on my feedback, and that's how it should be when you have a coach.
Right. I want to step back for one quick second. When we talk about recruiting, um, yes, need more shows. Yes, you need more money, prize money. But when you look at it, the Arnolds, there was one uh lady that showed up in women's physique in the amateurs, I believe. When I was at the Charlotte Pro last weekend, there was one women's bodybuilder pro, or not pro, but one women's bodybuilder in the amateurs and one women's physique. Given that, why should a promoter put up the money knowing he's not going to return on his investment if you guys don't show up?
That makes no sense. That's why I said there's two portions to it, you know.
Right.
You got to have, you got to have a promoter that's willing to put on the show, but you
Hmm.
also got to have the women, you know, like um it's a matter of marketing, you know. I mean,
Now,
it,
how
of
do you
course
make
it's like
sure if I put up this money as a promoter, how do I make what guarantee I have that women's bodybuilding is going to show up?
you don't have any,
Mm,
you don't have any
I mean,
guarantees.
got you.
I mean, how are you going to have a guarantee who's going to show up? Like,
Right. But
you
that's a
don't.
big risk. That's a lot of money. But
It's a big
that's
risk,
and
but I
that's something
think,
that's got to be worked out. And but yeah, that's the issue on both sides, and hopefully we can figure that out. I think
but
it
it's
brings on a whole new
he's a,
premise when you have a female promoter because okay, you ask a female promoter why you don't have women's bodybuilding at your show or figure or fitness or physique. It hits a little different than beating up the male promoters because you guys control it. You guys are in charge. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we definitely need more women in the sport, and how to do that. I mean, I can only see it as like, you need some role models. You need
Yeah.
somebody to look up to. Like, people will look up in basketball to LeBron James, or, you
Mm-hmm.
know, other sports, like I'm amazed by Tyson, like he's an
Mm-hmm.
old man now and he's still fighting.
Yeah.
He's got so many fans, like we
Yeah.
need personalities in bodybuilding
Yeah.
that are good role models, that goes out and they promote, and they go to the shows, and they go to
Mm-hmm.
expos. And but another thing is, like, it's hard because, speaking as a female bodybuilder myself, is like, often, we gotta pay for it ourselves,
Yeah.
because right now, to be honest, the popular divisions is wellness and men's physique
Mm-hmm.
on the men's level, and classic. But wellness is the big, especially now I'm in Brazil. It's all wellness. I
Oh, yo,
haven't
there you go.
I haven't met one
Of course, you went to the
woman's
Mecca, as they say.
bodybuilder. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it's so big. I've had people that I've met here at the gyms and stuff. They're like, "Wow, you compete and you look great.
Mm-hmm.
Are you wellness?" You know, and I
They
didn't
asked you
take
if you were
it.
wellness.
Yes, I didn't take it any bad.
Yeah.
I didn't take it bad. They
Right.
don't know better because they don't really know women's bodybuilding, and
True.
that's pretty terrible. Like, they just know wellness because many of the shows here, they only have wellness.
Right.
So yeah, so it's just it's a matter of getting out there, and like I said, often we have to pay from our own pocket. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
went to the Fit Expo in Colombia, huge
Mm-hmm.
expo. But
Mm-hmm.
I gotta pay there myself, entry fees and
Mm.
stuff. If I go to other shows, I have to pay my flight and my hotel and everything myself. It's hard these days. It's only like if you're invited by a sponsor, that they
Mm-hmm.
will pay for your flight and hotel and stuff like that. So everything bites a little bit in the tail with money. The promoters
Yeah.
need to make the money. The athletes really need to be good role model to pull more women to the sport. But we also got to be visible. I mean, my advice is to anyone who watches out there, the best thing that's free is social media. you
Mm-hmm.
know be visible on Instagram, Facebook, uh, YouTube. Build a YouTube channel, Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You just gotta. If you love your sport, help promote.
Yeah. And those definitely the champs can't do it all. Well, Andre Shaw is
We
out there, Natalia Coelho's
we
out there.
can't do it all.
There,
We
yeah.
we have
Where's
to.
everybody else at?
All of us,
Yeah.
all the women bodybuilders, gotta come together. We gotta all help each other. We gotta all promote, and we gotta be good. Good. Have a good camaraderie
Mm-hmm.
and support each other. That's teamwork is always the way.
Yeah. And I know I'm doing all that I can, and a few others.
Yes,
But I
you are,
mean,
and we're
of
very
course,
grateful for you.
not all appreciate it, and I'm gonna continue to do that. That's my pledge and goal, and we'll see what happens. But everybody's so easy for everybody to just drop Jake Wood's name. Jake Wood did this, Jake Wood did that. Y'all need to get out of Jake Wood's pocket and dig into your own. That's
Yeah,
just my point.
yeah.
If you
Well,
really believe in
no,
women's
no.
bodybuilding, what are you doing? And
Yeah,
that's everybody can talk about the lighting at the show. This person, promoters aren't doing what they need to do. The women's bodybuilders need more prize money. Well, what are you doing? We clearly understand what the problem is. What are you doing to fix
yeah. I totally agree. I'm like, if you're not contributing yourself, then who are you to complain and criticize someone else who's actually doing something?
it?
No
Exactly.
one is perfect. Everybody's learning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just getting started out as a promoter or business person or whatnot, there's a learning curve. And I'm
Right.
like, be grateful somebody is doing something, and try also to do something
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah, get educated first on the industry and what it takes to put on a show.
Mhm.
Learn about each division before you jump on doing clickbait about what the promoters didn't do, what that
Or you know
particular
what?
bodybuilder didn't
Offer
do.
your help.
Yeah,
Offer
well,
your help.
we're gonna see what happens. Tell me more about your coach. Who is he? How did you meet him? How long y'all been working together now officially?
Well, it actually started back in Dubai. I was living in Dubai in 2022 as I was, after the injury, I was getting ready. I had a coach in Dubai, and he said we were discussing are we competing or not, and he's like, you know what, come to
Mhm.
Dubai. I'll prep you and we'll make it happen. So I went to Dubai, and it wasn't going very well with my shoulder, to be honest. I was starting to work with the coach, and we were training, and it's just everything hurt and everything was just bad. So
Did you
actually,
consider retirement? Did you
no,
consider retirement at that time? Was that your lowest
no.
point?
I'm
Okay.
stubborn. I would say the fear was there. Of course, if you get a
Yeah.
serious injury, the biggest fear is always like, oh, is this a career-ending injury? The fear was there, but I'm stubborn, and I'm like, what, like I think my biggest trait is like I never give up. I just
Right.
never give up. Like I just don't. You can beat me down. You can do whatever. You can drag me through the sewers. I don't give up. so, so I talked to Terrence Ruffin,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, "You know what? I have this mobility coach. He's really, really great. I'm working with him, and he can do wonders with you." I'm like, "Okay." His name
Okay.
is Nick Chan. He's in Toronto, and I contacted him and I said, "Hey, can you come to Dubai and help me out with this shoulder problem?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. I'll jump on a flight." So he did, and he came for 12 days, and he fixed my shoulder in the 12 days, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And we've remained friends, and we're in contact. We met at the Olympia last year, and I was
So
sassy.
he's located in Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was sassy enough to ask him. I said, "Hey, would you be my trainer? Like, I need you for mobility because, I also have this bad knee, and the shoulder is still giving me a little, you know. So can we work?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm game. I'm gonna be your trainer up to the Olympia." And he actually came to Colombia. So I just
Yeah.
saw him just a few weeks ago in Colombia.
Okay.
He came
That's
for
great.
I think 2.5 weeks,
Okay.
and we worked a lot there. I just want to make sure my body is 100%, especially on top of the stem cells. I
Mm.
wanted to make sure that every joint is healthy. If I can do something myself in terms of mobility exercises, I'm also educating myself. I'm more
Right.
like the person, instead of giving up, if I have an issue, I'm like, okay, how can I solve this? How can I learn? How can I get better? And I'm becoming a better athlete because of it, because now I'm not just training with weights. I'm also doing a lot of mobility training and functional training on
Mm-hmm.
top of that, which really has a benefit on my body. But I was talking to Nick a few months back, and I was like, yeah, I'm not sure which coach to go with. And I've actually interviewed like 4, 5, maybe 5, 6 coaches. And I was like, man, and he's like, you know what? I know someone. He's really smart. He's like probably the smartest person I know. I say, oh, okay.
Mm.
And he's a coach? Yes, he's a coach. I'm like,
Hmm.
let me talk to him. And I reached out. One thing also that kind of surprised me, I reached out to a number of coaches, right? And some of them, it took them like days or a week to get back.
Did they not
One,
know who you were, or maybe they didn't know how to answer your question? I mean, you're a Helle Trevino. I mean, talk about an intimidation factor. and you're actively seeking a coach, did you reach out to any of your former coaches? Did you even consider them?
I did. I seriously did. I've had former coaches that I really work well with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the same time, I was like, part of me really wanted to try something new. It's like, it's still like, when you've had a good run with somebody else, but there was maybe also a reason why you left them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough, because I've had some that I really liked working with, but I felt like I really wanted something new.
Right.
So that's why. So I reached out to David, and he was like immediately like, "Hey, let's set up a video call. Can
Okay.
you go tomorrow?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm game." He was very. It wasn't like me. Like one said he would get back to me and never did. So this guy, he was on it, and he called me. We had just a great vibe. We ended up talking for I think 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, because one thing that's also important having a coach is like that you vibe well, that you
Right.
you have a good teamwork, and you feel like it just flows.
Right.
So, and I asked him a lot of questions. He gave me answers. He gave me good explanations. He was very knowledgeable, just as Nick said. So I was like, let me think about it. And I was like, the next day, I was like, hey, you're hired. Let's do this. And that was probably, I think that was maybe just after the stem cells or something, maybe like
Right.
end of January, mid January, something like that. Yep.
Okay, let's
So
get into it.
together, so is David Demasquita, it's Nick Chan, and it's Gina Caballero. So Gina, I worked
Mm-hmm.
with in Dubai, so it's a
Right.
big
You already work,
credit.
and vice
Yeah,
versa. Yeah.
she has the new X Tech machine with
Mm-hmm.
the pads, the
Yep.
electrical stimulation. So she gets a big credit for actually my shoulder
Yeah.
getting to work. Bless you. My shoulder
And that's
getting
I
to
saw
work
the
again.
different posts that seemed to really work well for you, too.
Well, the thing is, if you had an injury and not especially surgery, they will cut some nerves, and the
Mm-hmm.
nerves has to grow back, and there has to be created newer pathways. So, when I was lifting my arm like in a sag lateral, it was sort of like this because I the muscle it was not responding, it was not working.
Mm-hmm.
So the machine with the pads, it it contracts the muscle, and it helps you contract. It helps the muscle work correctly, and it actually builds newer pathways. That machine. So I was able to come back quicker from my injury, and that
Yep.
enabled me to compete.
And you
And
got hurt. Yeah.
yeah, and I just started working out. I think I've been working out like maybe like a week now on the machine.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, it's not just for post injuries, it's also for muscle building. And I
Mm-hmm.
react extremely well on training on this machine. I already started way before I had the injury. I worked in Gold's Gym when I lived in
Mm-hmm.
California with Brad Rowe. Actually, he had that machine, so I've known about this type of training for a long time. But it's also like having access to the machines. Not a lot of trainers have that machine. It's very costly. So now I'm fortunate that Gina is my friend, and she's volunteered to be my trainer. So she trains me every day on the machine, and like I feel like I just have the best team I ever had this year.
That's great. Okay, like I said earlier, let's get into it.
Let's get
You've been
into it.
you've been away for 2 years. We talked in Orlando. Uh, Give me your scouting report on Miss Olympia, Andrea Shaw. What you witnessed, what you seen from Orlando, from last year's Olympia to now. Give me your scouting report
On Olympia or Andrea?
on Andrea.
Well, she has an amazing physique, obviously, otherwise she wouldn't be the Miss Olympia. Of course, I follow all competitions closely. I study. She came in even more conditioned last year. I would say it was her best year last year. She will be very tough to beat. However, I am going for it.
One of the things you told me in Orlando, when looking at it, there's only one person that matters, and that's Andrea. What's it going to take to beat her? Is she beatable? And I like this, she's 1-4, looking down the barrel of 5, and I really think she has a Tyson effect. And Mike Tyson, a lot of people were beat before he even stepped in the ring.
Right.
Talk to me.
Well, that's one thing. Like mentally, you can't let yourself be intimidated by that she's won multiple times. Everybody's beatable. Like everybody, Linda Murray is like one of the greatest physiques that's been in history. She got beat. One person that didn't get beat was Iris Kyle.
I was about to say,
she I would say, I competed also when Iris Kyle was competing.
Okay.
And Iris, I'll go as far as like say, at the time she was competing, she was unbeatable.
Yeah.
Had she continued, age and injuries can
and
catch
the fact
up.
that they took the Olympia away.
Yeah. So eventually she would have gotten beat probably by somebody younger. But look, age and injuries catches up to us all. One day that ass is gonna hang.
You look at Linda Murray, right? She was out for a number of years, stepped away, came back, and still rose to the pinnacle. And so now, Andrea Shaw, that's your scouting report. Everybody is beatable.
I believe everybody is beatable because, so many things can happen, especially in this sport. You carb up a little too much, you spill too much. You have some injuries along the way, or your body just doesn't respond the same because every year your body is not the same. You cannot do the same diet year after year. There are some things where you say, oh, I know this working, but you can also get to 1 year and it's like, oh, this usually used to work and now it doesn't work, So the body is ever changing. And, I feel like I'm getting better. I'm evolving, especially now where I'm injury free. I was on the top and have been struggling with some injuries for some years. Now, due to all the things we talked about, stem cells, mobility coach, smarter training, et cetera, I feel like I'm going to be at my best at the Olympia 2024. So we'll see what happens. Andrea is a great champion. I have a great deal of respect for her. She will go down in the history books. She's got a great physique, but I'll be coming to beat her.
All right. When was the last time you talked to her, or have you?
When was the last time? Well, I haven't been in the States for a while. I've been traveling.
Not really since the Olympia, yeah.
No, I was at the Olympia as a spectator. I saw her. I think we spoke at the Olympia, but that's really, I'm traveling the world right now. So all of last year I was in Europe.
Yep.
except from, Spain, Turkey, Denmark, Sweden, Switzerland. I was traveling Europe last year. I just came
Mhm.
for the Olympia.
Right.
The year before, I was in Mexico and Dubai, and this year I'm traveling South America. So yeah, so I'm around
Yeah.
wider, but also I enjoy it. I love traveling, and I enjoy that. Talking about inspiration. I meet so many people from so many countries. I go to so many different gyms. I go to whatever they have, like say a fitness expo or a competition wherever I am. I'll go there. I'll talk to people. I'll make promotion for the sport. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, last point, I'm gonna let it go. I mean, I am a big fan of Andrea Shaw. I think she's done great things. It's one of those things where, as a photographer, that's somebody you wish you'd have caught while they were an amateur, and that's why you can't sleep on anybody. So I'm
Right.
excited about this season. Um, you're gonna start prep. You said at the end of May.
Probably around that. I mean, my coach has he's got the power, so but I
Okay.
think that's around what he was estimating.
And I'm certainly not trying to poke the bear, but full disclosure, Miss Olympia Andrea Shaw told Female Bodybuilding Channel that she was going to start prep on 1 May. So just saying, just saying. It's going to be a great season. So many shows left, even though there are not that many shows. The New York Pro, I'm so thankful that Teresa Advanced got her qualification, and at the end of the day, it's all going to shake out on the stage because you never know what anybody's going to bring. You don't want to sleep on anybody. And
You never
Miss
know.
Ashley Jones, New York Pro, gotta say, preseason rookie of the year when it comes to women's bodybuilding, because she's making her debut in the women's bodybuilding, and she's turning a lot of heads. So I'm excited to see what comes of that. And of course, I'm thankful to you, Teresa and Ashley, as sponsored athletes of Amazon's fitness magazine. Surely think and believe that I got it right. It's exciting to think that I got two athletes that I sponsored that are already going to be on the Olympia stage. And of course, I have no doubt that Miss Ashley Jones is about to do the same. So this is going to be great as we get down to October. And like I said, at the end of the day, it's going to shake out on the stage, and it's going to be exciting to watch. And it's great to be talking about women's bodybuilding. Of course, I've been talking about it all year, and ever since Amazon's fitness magazine came out in 2022 in May 1st will be 2 years, and we'll start year 3, and so much more to come. Give me your last words or closing thoughts or anything you would like to say that we didn't cover. I'm excited that you came on. Glad to see that you are healed and doing well. Great pose there on the beach. But hey, vacation's over. Let's go.
Well, I want to say thank you, big thank you for the fans, because any great sport is not much of a sport without the fans. Those are the ones that pay the tickets and also support us athletes, buy our merchandise and so forth. So a big thank you to all you guys who are watching. Big thank you for you guys who are supporting our shows and going there and buying tickets. And if you haven't been to a show, I hope you'll consider going to the show and supporting the promoters and thereby also the athletes that we have a platform to compete at. And on a personal note about myself, I'm ready. I'm working hard, and I'm planning to bring my best physique to the Olympia 2024. And we'll see, what happens. It's unknown. It's always it's up to the judges, and we just bring our best package. And I hope for all the other athletes that they'll have a great prep. Andre is a great champion, and I always have a huge respect for her and her physique. But
she
I'm
has
coming.
something you want.
I'm coming. Yes. You know what? If I just get one Olympia, I'll be happy.
Okay. Well, it looks like she's not trying to give anybody any. She's trying to take them
I don't
off.
think either, but
I'm excited because it's women's bodybuilding. I'm excited. We just gotta get some more shows in closer, man. I gotta get one in North Carolina. We'll go from there.
That would be great. More shows, more athletes, for sure.
Helle Trevino, Amazon's fitness magazine sponsored athlete. Thank you. You look great. Glad you're doing well. Thanks for coming on. Glad we worked it out. World traveler from Colombia now in Brazil. What time is it there now?
We're just 1 hour more than you are.
Okay.
We're
So
like,
not bad.
All 1 hour ahead.
Well, I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon. We got to set up this photo shoot as we get closer. So
yes, we'll talk soon, and thank you so much for all your support.
Thank you, Helle.
Life's best moments are best captured by photography and video. You may ask, why photography and video? Because if a photo is worth 1,000 words, video is worth 1,000,000. And GPS photography and video will leave you speechless. GPS specializes in weddings, sports, fitness, and so much more. Book your next shoot today at 910-257-0526 or gpsphotoandvideo.com.